Steve and Alan's Pro Tips in a short time. Learn a lot.
Hey, Alan.
Hey, Steve.
Spring is in the air. Guess what that means?
Opening day for Major League Baseball.
Yes, but I'm kind of shocked you actually knew that one.
Well, you know me. I never want to stop learning.
Well, that is something I admire about you. And it actually happens to relate to my quick pro tip for the day. It's the spring, which means that a lot of our listeners are likely preparing for some upcoming performances at festivals or contests. And oftentimes, these festivals have a clinic component where an expert works with the students. And if they don't have that component, I bet a lot of our listeners invite clinicians in to work with their groups in order to prepare for these festival performances.
And if they aren't inviting people to work with their groups, I strongly suggest they consider it. It is one of the best forms of professional development for teachers. At least it was for me.
Agreed. And I think we'll discuss that angle another time. Today, I want to talk about something that is fresh on my mind after listening to our interview with Jenny G last week on classroom management.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one. Check it out, folks, if you haven't already. Jenny G.
Totally. And something that stuck with me was we often assume students will know or do things, even though we either haven't told them, or if we have told them, we haven't told them enough or given them enough opportunities to solidify it.
Yeah. And as I pointed out last week, even if they truly should know whatever it is we expect them to know, sometimes they don't. And the reason why doesn't matter. And we just need to address it in the here and now.
Yep. And I'm going to suggest our listeners apply this concept to something they maybe haven't considered: what to do and not to do during a clinic where a guest teacher works with us.
Yeah, that's great because I'm betting a lot of teachers do what I did early in my career, assume that the students would be super excited about the clinic and be attentive and everything, even though I never really checked that out with them.
Yes, I've given hundreds of clinics over the years, and I can tell which groups had been taught beforehand how to act during the clinic.
Oh, yeah. You mean like they were quiet and paid attention?
Well, yes, that's the most obvious one, and we do need to spell that out specifically for the students. But I think it goes deeper than that. As you've talked about in the past, body language is very important, for example.
Yeah, maybe the students are nervous, so their inclination is to look down or away from this new stranger in front of them.
Exactly. And that new person might misinterpret their nervous body language as, we don't care what you have to say. So, listeners, spell it out to your students. Tell them to sit up tall at the edge of their chairs, stand with good posture, and, I think this is key, make eye contact with the clinician. And if they're feeling it, it's even okay to smile at the clinician. Alan, what might you add as we prepare students for a clinic?
Oh, use your pencil. Use it often. Use it obviously. It shows you care enough about what they're saying that you're making a record of it.
Yeah, good stuff. I might even, as a teacher, bring a bunch of extra pencils with me and hand them out in case the students don't have them. I also like to prep them on some questions the clinician might ask them. Do they know the background of the piece? Do they know a little bit about the composer? And I know it's likely you have maybe gone over this with the students, but maybe it was when you first handed out the music a few months ago and the students don't, for example, remember quite as much about Duke Ellington as we do.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Any other tips?
Yeah, I think it's very helpful if the teacher has some idea of what they might want out of the clinic. I always ask in advance, though some clinicians like to just dig into whatever it is they want to address. But it's helpful for me as a clinician when I ask the teacher and they say something like, I'd just love to watch you fix letter D. That's never worked, and maybe we'd benefit from watching you rehearse it a bit. Or they say, no preference, just try to spend about 10 minutes on each piece. Or maybe it's, hey, we've worked really hard on our phrase shaping, so if you could offer some positive reinforcement that you noticed that, I think that would help the students feel successful.
You said you've given hundreds of clinics. I'm curious why this matters from your end of things, because you're pretty good at work in the room by now, even if the students haven't been prepped in advance by their teacher.
Well, thank you for the vote of confidence, Alan. Yes, I am pretty much going to roll with whatever and just read the vibe of the room. But I think it's good for teachers to prep students for a few reasons. First, it's certainly more fun for the clinician when the students at least appear engaged and are making eye contact or smiling. So you're going to have a better chance of getting your money's worth out of the experience if the clinician is giving it their all. I also think it's a good skill for students to learn. I mean, yes, of course, we hope they'll be engaged and attentive anytime they're in a music making situation. But let's be honest, we all fall into routines, and it's important for our students to learn how to turn it on, so to speak. And if you are in a competitive situation where that clinician is also scoring your group, or they're likely to mingle with judges throughout the day.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You mean if the clinician has a favorable experience with my group, it could help me score higher?
That's possible, yes, but also possible the opposite.
Ah, yes. If my students seem checked out and non responsive, it might make it easier for them to justify scoring my group lower.
Exactly. Not the greatest reason to train your students to appear to be plugged in, but it is a reason nonetheless.
Cool. So train the students for their upcoming clinic by encouraging good body language, having and using a pencil, and prepping them for some likely questions.
Yes. And also, teachers, be ready to answer if the clinician says, hey, what would be most helpful for you to see me work on?
This is good stuff. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Alan.
Steve and Alan's Pro Tips in a short time. Learn a lot.